The medical bay was cold and quiet, just like it had been for the past 23 years. Hansol walked slowly across the metal floor, her old legs moving carefully as she carried a small cup of tea. She was 67 years old now, with gray hair tied back in a simple bun. Her uniform was clean but worn from years of use. In front of her lay the dragon. That was what everyone called him, though his real name was Day One. He was not like the dragons from Earth stories. His body stretched 400 feet long, covered in crystalline scales that looked like frozen starlight. His serpentine form coiled in the massive medical chamber, connected to hundreds of tubes and monitors that kept him alive. He had been asleep for 23 years. Not regular sleep, deep stasis, his mind locked away somewhere even the best doctors could not reach. Hansol set her tea down on a small table and pulled a chair close to Daewon's enormous head. His scales were cool to touch. She placed her wrinkled hand on them gently. "Good morning, Daewon," she said softly. "It is Tuesday. The station outside had a meteor shower last night. I watched it from the window and thought of you." "You would have liked the colors." No response. There never was. But Hansol did not mind. She began to sing. An old Korean lullaby her grandmother taught her when she was just a little girl. The words floated through the empty medical bay, gentle and warm. Her voice was not young anymore, but it was kind. Behind the walls, hidden in the shadows of technology, cameras recorded everything. Far away, in a throne room made of black stone and silver light, a man watched. Emperor Tai-Min of the Draxian Empire sat alone on his throne. He was 55 years old, though his alien features made it hard for humans to guess. His skin had a faint blue tint and his eyes were completely black like pools of ink. He wore robes of deep crimson with gold symbols that showed his rank. He watched the old woman sing to the dragon and his heart ached. Nobody in his empire knew he watched these recordings. Nobody knew he had been watching for years. His advisors would think it was strange. Weak. Emperors did not waste time watching old human women sing to comatose dragons. But Tai-Min watched anyway, because 45 years ago, that old woman had saved his life. Hansol finished her song and smiled at the dragon. "I will read to you now," she said. She pulled out a small book of poetry. Earth poetry written in Korean. She read slowly, pronouncing each word carefully. The door to the medical bay opened. A young woman entered carrying medical supplies. Her name was Yuna, and she was Hansol's assistant. She was 26 with bright eyes and quick movements. "Hansol, you are here again," Yuna said, shaking her head. "You came early today. You should rest more." "I am fine," Hansol replied with a gentle smile. "Daewon needs company." Yuna looked at the massive dragon, at all the machines that proved he could not hear or feel anything. "Hansol, you know he cannot hear you. The doctor said his brain is completely shut down. He is basically not there." "He is there," Hansol said firmly but kindly. "Somewhere inside he is there. And even if he is not, I promised I would not let him be alone." Yuna sighed. She had heard this many times. "You have been doing this for 23 years. Every single day. You could have retired. You could be on Earth with family, enjoying your old age." Hansol looked at the dragon, her hand still resting on his scales. "I do not have family on Earth anymore. And this is where I choose to be. But why?" Yuna asked. "Why do you care so much about a creature that cannot even know you are here?" Hansol was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke softly. 45 years ago I found a child. He was only 3 years old, alone on a destroyed colony world. His people were dead. He was crying, scared, starving. I did not know what species he was. I only knew he was a child who needed help." Yuna sat down, listening. She had heard parts of this story before, but never all of it. "I took him in," Hansol continued. "I raised him for 7 years. I taught him to read, to cook, to be kind. I gave him every bit of food I had, even when I was hungry. I sang to him when he had nightmares. I told him that no one should ever be alone in the dark." "What happened to him?" Yuna asked. "When he was 10, officials from the Draxian Empire came. They said he was one of theirs, taken during a war. They said he was important. They took him away." Hansol's voice was sad but accepting. "I never saw him again. I do not even know if he remembers me." "And that is why you stay with the dragon?" Yuna asked. "Yes," Hansol said. "Because I know what it feels like to be helpless. To watch someone leave and not be able to stop it. I could not keep my boy, but I can keep my promise to Day One. No one should be alone. Not for even one day." Far away, Emperor Taemin closed his eyes. Tears ran down his face. He remembered everything. The small room in the refugee shelter. The smell of cheap noodles Hansol cooked. Her voice singing the same lullaby she now sang to the dragon. Her hands, young back then, wiping away his tears when he woke from nightmares. He remembered the day the Draxian officials came. How Hansol had cried but let him go because she knew it was what his people wanted. How she had hugged him one last time and whispered, "Remember, you are good. You are kind. Stay that way." He had become emperor. He had conquered worlds, commanded fleets, made decisions that affected billions. But he had never forgotten the old woman who taught him that strength without compassion was just cruelty. And now she sat with a dragon, singing the same songs, keeping the same promise. Back on the medical vessel, Yuna stood up. "I think you are the kindest person I have ever met, Hansol. But I also think you are a little bit crazy." Hansol laughed. "Maybe, but crazy is not always bad." As Yuna left to check other patients, Hansol continued reading her poetry. Her voice was the only sound in the vast medical bay, floating through the air like a prayer. She did not know that thousands of light years away, an emperor was making a decision. He had stayed hidden long enough. He had watched from the shadows long enough. It was time to return. Not as an emperor, not yet, but as someone who owed a debt that could never truly be repaid. The dragon's monitors beeped softly, showing the same flat readings they had shown for 23 years. But deep inside the crystalline body, in a place no machine could reach, something stirred. In the darkness where Day One's consciousness floated, trapped and alone, a voice reached through the void, a song, an old song, a human song. And in that darkness, the dragon listened. He had always been listening. Hansol closed her book and stood up slowly. She patted the dragon's scales one more time. "See you tomorrow, Day One," she whispered. "Same time. I promise." She walked away, her footsteps echoing in the empty bay. And on his distant throne, Emperor Taemin began to plan his journey home. The Galactic Council chamber was massive, built to hold representatives from 100 different species. Emperor Taemin sat in the Draxian section, his face calm and unreadable. Around him, other leaders argued about trade routes and border disputes. Ambassador Velkoth from the Taurian hegemony stood up, his 6 arms gesturing widely. "The humans are too soft," he declared loudly. "They waste resources on charity, on medicine, on caring for species that offer them nothing in return. This is why they will never be a major power." Several aliens laughed. Humans were known across the galaxy as the species that cared too much. They built hospitals for aliens. They rescued stranded ships even when it was not profitable. They formed emotional attachments to almost anything. Emperor Taemin said nothing. His face showed no emotion, but inside anger burned hot. Next to him, Grand Admiral Jiwoo leaned close. She was a high-ranking Draxian military commander, sharp and efficient. "You are quiet, my emperor. Usually you defend the humans. Not today," Taemin said softly. "Today I am thinking." He was thinking about Hansol, about how she gave him her food when she was starving, about how she taught him to read using old books she found in trash heaps, about how she never asked for anything in return. The other aliens called that weakness. Taemin called it something else. He called it strength. The council meeting ended. Taemin returned to his ship, a massive warship that served as his mobile palace. Jiwoo followed him to his private quarters. "You are troubled, my emperor," she observed. Taemin stood by a window staring at the stars. "Do you remember my origin story, Jiwoo? What the official records say?" "Yes. You were recovered from a destroyed colony by Draxian forces, raised in military academies, rose through ranks due to your intelligence and leadership." "That is what the records say," Taemin agreed. "But records can be incomplete." He turned to face her. "Before the Draxian forces found me, I was with a human woman for 7 years. She raised me, taught me, loved me." Jiwoo's eyes widened slightly. "I did not know this. Nobody does. When I became emperor, I made sure of it. Not because I was ashamed, but because I wanted to protect her. If my enemies knew about her, they would use her against me. And this woman, she still lives?" "Yes. She works on a medical vessel called the Eternal Mercy. She cares for the Comatose dragon, Day One. Has been caring for him for 23 years. Jiwoo was silent for a moment, processing this information. "What will you do?" "I am going to visit her," Taemin said. In disguise. As a diplomat, is that wise, my emperor? If your identity is discovered— I do not care about wisdom right now, Taemin interrupted gently. I care about debt. She gave me everything when she had nothing. I need to see her, to know she is safe. Meanwhile, on the Eternal Mercy, something strange was happening. A Draxian scientist named Hae Sung had arrived 3 days ago. He was young for his species, only 80 years old, with bright, curious eyes. He had brought special equipment to scan Daewon's brain. Now he stood in Han Sol's small office, looking nervous. The results are unexpected, he said carefully. Han Sol looked up from her paperwork. What do you mean? The standard medical scans showed Daewon is in complete stasis. Brain activity near zero. But I used different equipment. Older scanning methods that look for quantum neural patterns. And Hae Sung pulled up images on a screen. They showed complex patterns of light and color. He is conscious, Han Sol. He has been conscious this entire time. Han Sol stood up so fast her chair fell over. What? But the doctors said the doctors were wrong. His consciousness is active but completely trapped. He cannot move, cannot speak, cannot even control his own breathing. But he is aware. He has been aware for 23 years. Han Sol felt her legs go weak. She sat down on the edge of her desk. You mean he has been trapped? Alone in the dark? For 23 years? Yes, Hae Sung said quietly. I'm sorry, but there is something else. He pulled up another image. These are his neural patterns over time. See these spikes? They happen at regular intervals. Every day, same time. Han Sol looked at the timestamps. They matched exactly with when she visited Daewon each morning. These spikes happen when you are with him, Hae Sung explained. When you sing, when you read, when you talk. His neural patterns stabilize. The chaos in his mind calms. So he can hear me? Han Sol whispered. Yes, and more than that, your voice is keeping him sane. Without you, the isolation would have destroyed his mind years ago. You saved him, Han Sol. You are still saving him every day. Han Sol covered her face with her hands. Tears ran between her fingers. All this time he was listening. He was alone in there and I did not know. You could not have known, Hae Sung said gently. But now we do. And maybe we can help him. Maybe we can find a way to wake him up. Yuna burst into the office, her face pale. Han Sol, we have a problem. A big problem. She pulled up a star chart. Red markers showed enemy fleet positions. The Vorn Collective. They are moving ships toward our position. Intelligence says they want Daewon. Why? Han Sol asked. Dragons can be weaponized, Yuna explained. If they use neural technology, they can control him. Turn him into a living weapon. A warship that cannot be destroyed. How long do we have? Hae Sung asked. 10 days. Maybe less. Han Sol stood up, wiping her tears. Then we have 10 days to figure out how to wake him. Because I will not let them take him. I promised I would not let him be alone. I keep my promises. Far away on his warship, Emperor Taemin received the same intelligence report. His advisors gathered around him. My Emperor, the Vorn Collective's movement threatens the medical vessel Eternal Mercy, Jiwoo reported. Should we intervene? Taemin's jaw tightened. Prepare my personal shuttle. I am going there myself. My Emperor is that wise. It is just a medical vessel. One comatose dragon. The strategic value is irrelevant, Taemin said, his voice hard. Prepare the shuttle. That is an order. After his advisors left, Taemin stood alone in his throne room. He remembered Han Sol's words from long ago when he was just a scared child. You must be strong, little one. But strength is not about power. It is about choosing to be kind even when kindness is hard. It is about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. He had become an emperor. He commanded the most powerful military in the galaxy, but he had never forgotten her lessons. Now she was in danger. The woman who saved him. The woman who sang to dragons. The woman who kept promises even when nobody was watching. Taemin looked at his reflection in the polished metal wall. I am coming, mother, he whispered in Korean, using the language she taught him. This time I will protect you. On the Eternal Mercy, Han Sol sat beside Daewon again. The medical bay was dark except for the soft glow of monitors. I know you can hear me now, she said softly. Hae Sung told me. I am sorry I did not know sooner. I am sorry you were alone in there. She took a deep breath. But you are not alone anymore. You were never alone. I was always here. And I will not let them take you. I promise. Deep inside his crystalline prison, Daewon heard every word, and for the first time in 23 years he felt something other than despair. He felt hope. The shuttle arrived at the Eternal Mercy 3 days later. It was small and unmarked, carrying diplomatic credentials but no imperial symbols. The guards at the docking bay checked the papers and let it through without question. A tall Draxian male stepped out. His name, according to his identification, was Kyung-Soo. He wore simple gray robes, the kind mid-level diplomats usually wore. His face was calm and unremarkable for his species. But behind those black eyes, Emperor Taemin's heart was racing. He was home. Not home to his empire or his throne, but home to the person who mattered most. The station director met him at the entrance. "Welcome, Diplomat Kyung-Soo. We were informed you would be conducting an evaluation of the dragon patient?" "Yes," Taemin said, keeping his voice neutral. "The Empire wishes to review his status. It has been many years, of course. I will have our chief medical officer escort you. Her name is Hansol. She has been Daewon's primary caretaker since his arrival." Taemin felt his chest tighten at her name. "That will be acceptable." They walked through the clean white corridors of the medical vessel. Everything was neat and organized. Medical staff moved with quiet efficiency. It was a peaceful place dedicated to healing. Then he saw her. Hansol stood at the end of the hallway reviewing something on a datapad. She looked older. Her hair was completely gray now, tied back the same way she always wore it. Her face had more lines, more wrinkles, but her eyes were the same, kind, warm, patient. She looked up and smiled politely. "You must be Diplomat Kyung-Soo. Welcome to the Eternal Mercy." Taemin opened his mouth but could not speak for a moment. She did not recognize him. Of course she did not. He had changed. Draxians aged differently. His features had matured, and she thought he had forgotten her long ago. "Thank you," he finally managed. "I am here to evaluate the dragon." "Daewon," Hansol corrected gently. "His name is Daewon. Please follow me." As they walked, she talked about the dragon's medical history. Taemin barely heard the words. He was too busy memorizing everything about her. The way she walked, slower than before. The way she gestured when explaining things. The small smile she gave when talking about her patients. "You have been caring for him for a long time," Taemin said. 23 years, Hansol replied. "Since the day they brought him here. That is dedication. Most people would not stay so long with a patient who cannot recover." Hansol stopped walking and looked at him. Her eyes were sharp despite her age. "Cannot recover or has not recovered yet. There is a difference. The medical reports say his condition is permanent. Medical reports are not always complete," Hansol said firmly. "I know he is in there. I know he can hear me. How do you know? Because hope is not about certainty. It is about choosing to believe even when you have no proof. Someone very important taught me that once." Taemin felt tears threatening but forced them back. "This person? They sound wise." "He was just a child," Hansol said softly. "But yes, he was very wise. I wonder if he still is wherever he is now." They reached the medical bay. The massive doors opened, revealing Daewon's crystalline form coiled in the chamber. The dragon was enormous, beautiful, and utterly still. Hansol walked to his side and placed her hand on his scales, the same gesture she had done thousands of times. "Good afternoon, Daewon. We have a visitor today. His name is Kyung-Soo. He is from the Draxian Empire." Taemin moved closer, pretending to examine the medical readings. But he was really watching Hansol, the gentle way she touched the dragon, the soft tone of her voice. "Do you speak to him often?" he asked. "Every day, morning and evening. Sometimes in the middle of the night when I cannot sleep." "Why?" Hansol smiled. "Because no one should be alone in the dark. Everyone deserves someone to sit with them even if they cannot respond." Taemin's throat felt tight. Those were the exact words she had said to him once when he was 7 years old and crying because he missed his dead parents. "You have a kind heart," he said quietly. "No kinder than anyone else. I just keep my promises." She looked at the dragon with such tenderness. "I promised him on the first day that I would not leave him alone. So I stay." Then something happened that had never happened before. Daewon's scales began to glow, just faintly like starlight through fog. The monitors beeped rapidly, showing increased neural activity. Hae-sung rushed in from the adjoining lab. What happened? What did you do? Nothing, Han Sol said, staring at the dragon in wonder. I just introduced our visitor. Haesung checked the readings frantically. This is incredible. His brain activity just spiked. Physical response. This has never happened before. Taemin stared at the glowing dragon, then at Han Sol. Then back at the dragon. He understood. Daewon was not responding to just anyone. He was responding to love, to genuine care, to the presence of someone who truly believed he could hear. I need to speak with you privately, Taemin said to Han Sol, about the dragon's security. They moved to a small office nearby. Taemin closed the door and stood by the window trying to compose himself. There is a threat, he said. The Vorn Collective plans to attack this vessel. They want to take Daewon. Han Sol's face went pale. When? Soon, days, not weeks. What will your empire do? Will you help us? Taemin turned to face her. That depends. What would you have me do? Protect him, Han Sol said without hesitation. He has suffered enough. He has been alone for so long. I will not let them take him. Even if it means your own death? This is a medical vessel. It has no weapons. The Vorn fleet is massive. Even then, Han Sol said firmly, I keep my promises, Diplomat Kyung-soo. No matter the cost, Taemin looked at her. This old woman, fragile and small, willing to die to protect a creature she had cared for. This was the same woman who had nearly starved to feed him, who had taught him that courage was not the absence of fear, but doing what was right despite it. You remind me of someone, Han Sol said suddenly. The way you stand, the way you speak. Something about you feels familiar. Taemin's heart stopped. I have a common face for my species. No, Han Sol said, stepping closer. Your eyes. When you look at Daewon, there is something in your eyes. Compassion, real compassion. That is rare, especially among diplomats. She reached up and touched his face gently. It was an inappropriate gesture by diplomatic standards, but she did it anyway. Who are you, really? She whispered. Taemin wanted to tell her. Wanted to drop to his knees and say, It is me, Mother. Your boy. I came back. But Grand Admiral Ji-woo's warning echoed in his mind. If his identity was revealed, if his enemies knew about Han Sol, they would use her against him. I am just a diplomat, he said, gently moving her hand away. But I promise you, Han Sol, I will not let them take Daewon. I will not let them hurt you. Why would you make such a promise to strangers? Because someone once taught me that keeping promises is what makes us good. Even when it is hard. Even when it costs us everything. Han Sol's eyes filled with tears. My boy used to say things like that. Taemin could not hold back anymore. He spoke in Korean, the language only she had taught him. Then maybe your boy learned well, Han Sol gasped. Very few Draxians spoke Korean. It was an uncommon Earth language not widely taught. Where did you learn that? She whispered. From someone very important, Taemin said. Then he left before he broke completely. That night Taemin stood alone in the medical bay. The station was quiet. Everyone was asleep except the night shift workers. He approached Daewon and placed his hand on the dragon's scales. I know you can hear me, he said in Korean. Han Sol is in danger. She does not know it yet, but my enemies will come for her once they discover who I am. The dragon's scales flickered with faint light. She saved me once. Taemin continued. Now I have to save both of you. But I do not know if I can do it without revealing myself. And if I reveal myself, she becomes a target forever. He looked at the dragon's closed eyes. What would you do? If you could wake up right now, what would you do? Deep in his crystalline prison, Daewon heard every word, and he tried with every fragment of will he possessed to answer. The glow in his scales grew brighter. The attack came sooner than expected. Alarms screamed through the eternal mercy at dawn. Red emergency lights flashed in every corridor. The calm medical vessel transformed into chaos in seconds. Han Sol ran toward the medical bay, her old legs moving as fast as they could. Yuna caught up with her, carrying emergency supplies. What is happening? Han Sol shouted over the alarms. Vorn fleet just came out of hyperspace. 20 warships. They are not even trying to negotiate. They are demanding we hand over the dragon or they will destroy us. Han Sol reached the medical bay and found Diplomat Kyung-soo already there, standing protectively near Daewon. His calm diplomatic mask was gone. His face showed something else now. Determination, fury, command. Get everyone to the escape pods, he ordered the medical staff. His voice had changed. It carried authority now, the kind that made people obey without question. We cannot move Day One, Haesung protested. He is connected to too many life support systems. Moving him will kill him. Then we stay, Hansol said firmly. I will not leave him. Kyung-soo turned to her. Hansol, you must evacuate. This is not your fight. Yes, it is, she said, walking to Day One's side. I made a promise. I stay with him. Always. Kyung-soo closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, they were filled with pain and something else, pride. You are the most stubborn woman in the galaxy, he said softly. Someone had to teach you stubbornness, Hansol replied. Did I teach you well? Kyung-soo froze. What? Hansol stepped closer to him. I know who you are. I knew the moment you spoke Korean. Only one person in this entire galaxy learned Korean from me. Only one person would care this much about an old woman and a dying dragon. Her hand touched his face again, gentle and certain. Hello, Taemin, my boy. You came back? Taemin's mask shattered completely. He grabbed her hand and pressed it to his face, tears streaming down. I am sorry. I am sorry I stayed away so long. I am sorry I hid from you. Why did you hide? To protect you. If my enemies knew about you, they would use you against me. They would hurt you to hurt me. And you thought that was better than seeing me? Foolish boy. But she smiled as she said it, pulling him down into a hug. Taemin held her. This small old woman who had been his entire world once. I watched you every day. The recordings. I saw you sing to him. I saw you keep your promise. I learned from the best, Hansol whispered. An explosion rocked the vessel. The Vorn ships were firing warning shots. Taemin straightened up, wiping his tears. He pulled out a communication device. Jiwoo now. Yes, my emperor, came the reply. Outside the Eternal Mercy, space suddenly filled with light. A Draxian Imperial fleet dropped out of hyperspace. 50 warships, each one massive and armed to perfection. At their center was the Emperor's personal dreadnought, black as night and deadly as death. The Vorn fleet hesitated. They had expected one medical vessel. They had not expected the full might of the Draxian Empire. Grand Admiral Jiwoo's voice boomed across all frequencies. This is Grand Admiral Jiwoo of the Draxian Imperial Fleet. You have threatened a vessel under our protection. You have threatened our Emperor. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. On the Eternal Mercy, the medical staff stared at Kyung-soo in shock. Emperor? Yuna whispered. Taemin ignored them all. He was focused on the tactical display. The Vorn fleet was not retreating. They were preparing to fight. They are fools, he muttered. They think they can grab Day One in the chaos. Can your fleet protect us? Hansol asked. Yes, but... Taemin looked at the dragon, at all the monitors showing his fragile condition. The battle will create energy pulses, weapons fire. The systems keeping Day One alive might fail. Haesung rushed over. He is right. One good hit near this bay, and the life support could overload. We would lose him. Hansol looked at the dragon, then at Taemin. Is there no other way? There might be, Haesung said hesitantly. If we could wake him up, even partially. Dragons are nearly indestructible when conscious. He could survive without the machines. But you said waking him was impossible, Yuna protested. I said it was nearly impossible. But his neural activity has been increasing, especially when Hansol is near. If we could push him just a little further. How? Hansol asked. Haesung looked uncomfortable. The research suggests he responds to emotional resonance, to genuine connection, to love. I have been giving him that for 23 years, Hansol said. Yes, but now we need more. We need. Haesung gestured helplessly. We need him to feel something so strong that it pulls him out of the darkness, something worth waking up for. Another explosion. Closer this time. The Vorn fleet had engaged the Draxian ships. Taemin made a decision. Everyone out, except Han Solo and me. My Emperor, you cannot. One of the guards began. Out! Taemin roared with his full imperial voice. They ran. Taemin and Han Solo stood alone with the dragon. The medical bay shook as weapons fire lit up space outside. What are you thinking? Han Solo asked. You said he responds to love. To connection. Taemin moved to the other side of Daewon's head. Maybe he needs to hear it from both of us. Both? You have been alone in this for 23 years, but you are not alone anymore. I am here. Let him hear family. Let him hear what is worth waking up for. Han Solo understood. She placed both hands on Daewon's scales. Taemin did the same on the opposite side. Daewon, Han Solo said softly. I know you are scared. I know you have been alone for so long. But I need you to listen now. Really listen. Taemin spoke in Korean, his voice thick with emotion. I was alone once too, trapped in darkness, trapped in fear. But someone pulled me out, someone who refused to let me stay in that darkness. Han Solo began to sing. The lullaby, the same one she sang every day. Taemin joined her. His voice was deeper, rougher, but he remembered every word. Mother and son, singing together for the first time in 45 years. The monitors went crazy. Daewon's neural activity spiked higher than Haesung had ever seen. The crystalline scales began to glow brighter, brighter, so bright it hurt to look at. Outside the battle raged. Ships exploded, weapons tore through space. Inside the medical bay, two humans sang to a dragon who had forgotten what it meant to be awake. Come back, Han Solo whispered between verses. Come back, Daewon. You are not alone. You have never been alone. Wake up, Taemin added. Wake up and see what you have been fighting for. Wake up and meet the woman who saved both of us. The glow became blinding. The monitors sparked and overloaded. Every machine in the medical bay screamed warnings. And then, for the first time in 23 years, Daewon's eyes opened. They were like galaxies. Swirling colors of purple and blue and silver. Ancient. Powerful. Awake. A voice filled the medical bay, not spoken aloud but felt in the mind, deep as oceans, old as stars. Who? Who sings? Han Solo's tears ran freely. I do. I have always been singing. And I, Taemin said. Your family is here. The dragon's massive head moved, just slightly. Those galaxy eyes focused on Han Solo. You? Stayed? Always. Han Solo whispered. I promised. Outside, the Vorn fleet saw what was happening, saw the light growing inside the medical vessel, saw the readings that told them the dragon was awakening. They fired everything they had at the eternal mercy. And Daewon, awake for the first time in 23 years, felt anger for the first time in just as long. His consciousness exploded outward like a shockwave. Every ship within 1,000 kilometers felt it, felt his rage, felt his protection, felt his love for the two beings who had pulled him from darkness. The Vorn ship stopped firing, not because they wanted to, but because every single pilot suddenly understood what they were trying to destroy. They understood love. They understood devotion. They understood promises kept across impossible years, and they could not destroy that. Something deep in their minds would not let them. The Vorn fleet commander's voice came across all channels, shaking and confused. We withdraw. We cannot do this. The fleet turned and jumped to hyperspace. In the medical bay, Daewon lowered his head to rest near Han Solo and Taemin. His voice was weak but clear in their minds. Thank you. Thank you for the light. The medical bay was silent except for the soft hum of damaged equipment. Daewon's massive crystalline form was still glowing but softer now. Gentle like moonlight instead of a sun. Han Solo sat on the floor exhausted. Taemin sat beside her, his imperial robes torn and dusty. Both of them were staring at the dragon who was finally truly awake. Are you real? Daewon's voice whispered in their minds. Or am I still dreaming in the darkness? We are real, Han Solo said, her voice hoarse from singing. You are awake, Daewon. You are finally awake. The dragon's galaxy eyes moved slowly, taking in everything. The medical equipment. The walls. The window showing space outside. Then back to Hansel. You were always there. Every day. I heard you singing. I know that now, Hansel said. I am sorry I did not know you could hear me. I am sorry you were alone all that time. I was not alone, Day One said softly. You were with me. Your voice was the only light in the darkness. Without you, I would have gone mad centuries ago. Centuries? Taman asked. You were only in the coma for 23 years. Time moves differently in the darkness. Each day felt like 100 years. Each hour like a lifetime. I have lived 1,000 lifetimes in that silence. The dragon's voice held ancient pain, but your voice kept me sane, kept me hoping, kept me human. You are not human, Hansel said gently. No, but you taught me what humanity means. Kindness without reason, hope without proof, love without condition. Day One shifted slightly, his coils moving for the first time. Why did you stay? I am not your species. I could not repay you. I could not even thank you. Why? Hansel reached out and touched his scales. Because no one should be alone. That is reason enough, Taman spoke up. She raised me with the same philosophy. I was not her species either. Not her child by birth. But she loved me anyway. Day One's eyes focused on Taman. You are the Emperor. The one who watched from shadows. You knew? I felt you. Your mind touched the edges of mine sometimes when you watched the recordings. You carry the same kindness she does. She taught you well. She taught me everything, Taemin said quietly. The door opened. Haesung, Yuna, and Grand Admiral Jiwoo entered cautiously. Behind them, medical staff peeked in nervously. The dragon is awake, Jiwoo said unnecessarily. My emperor, we should secure the situation. Move him to a proper facility. No, Daewon's voice filled everyone's mind. They all jumped at the telepathic contact. Forgive me. I'm still learning to control my range. But no, I will not go to a facility. You need proper care, Haesung said. Your body has been inactive for 23 years. You need physical therapy, neural recalibration. I need nothing except what I have here. Daewon looked at Hansol. I will not leave her, not after she stayed with me for so long. But you are awake now, Yuna protested. You can go anywhere. Do anything. You are free, am I? Daewon asked. I have been alone for most of my existence. Centuries before the coma, centuries of isolation. My species does not gather. We do not form bonds. We exist separately, independently, eternally alone. His eyes dimmed with sadness. I thought that was strength. I thought that was what it meant to be a dragon. But then I was trapped. Truly trapped. And I learned what loneliness really means. He looked at Hansol again. She showed me something different. She showed me that being with someone even when they cannot respond is better than being alone. I will not go back to that isolation. Not ever again. Grand Admiral Jiwoo stepped forward. Then what will you do? I will stay here, on the Eternal Mercy, as its guardian. A dragon as a medical ship's guardian? Jiwoo looked skeptical. That is unusual. Good, Daewon said simply. I am tired of being what is expected. I want to be near the one who saved me. Hansol was crying again but smiling. You do not owe me anything, Daewon. I owe you everything. And more than that, I want to stay. If you will have me. Always, Hansol said. Taemin stood up and helped Hansol to her feet. Then it is decided. The Eternal Mercy will become a special diplomatic vessel, under Imperial protection, with a dragon guardian. He looked at his mother. And I want to make something else official. Hansel, you saved my life when I was a child. You raised me. You taught me everything that matters. In front of these witnesses, I name you Mother of the Realm, a formal title in the Draxian Empire. You will have full diplomatic immunity, full protection, and everyone will know what you mean to me. Hansol touched his face. I do not need titles, my boy, I know. But I need to give them to you. Please, let me honor you the way you deserve. Hansol looked at all the people watching. At Yuna, who was crying. At Haesung, who looked amazed. At Jiwoo, who was smiling despite herself. If it makes you happy, Hansol said. Then yes, the next few weeks were busy. The Eternal Mercy was repaired and upgraded. New medical equipment arrived. More staff. Better quarters. But it remained fundamentally a place of healing. Daewon slowly regained his strength. He learned to move his massive body again. Learned to control his telepathy so he did not accidentally broadcast his thoughts to everyone nearby. And every morning Han Sol sat with him and sang. "You do not have to anymore," Daewon said one day. "I am awake now, I know. But I like singing, and I think you like listening." "I do," the dragon admitted. "It reminds me that I am not dreaming, that this is real." Taemin visited as often as his duties allowed. Sometimes he brought his advisors, showing them the ship where he had learned the most important lessons of his life. Sometimes he came alone, sitting with Han Sol and Daewon, just being a son and a friend instead of an emperor. One evening, the three of them sat together in the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly outside the window. "I have been thinking," Daewon said, "about what I want to do with my life now." "What do you want?" Han Sol asked. "I want to help, the way you helped me. There are others in the galaxy who are trapped, alone, suffering in silence. I want to find them, help them, give them what you gave me." "That is a good goal," Taemin said, "but I cannot do it alone. I do not know how." Han Sol, "Will you teach me? Will you show me how to care for others the way you cared for me?" Han Sol smiled. "I would be honored. And Taemin, will you help? Use your power to reach places I cannot." "Yes," Taemin said without hesitation. "We will do this together." Daewon's scales glowed with happiness. "Family. I never thought I would have family." "Neither did I," Taemin said. "But here we are." Han Sol looked at both of them, this ancient dragon and this powerful emperor, and felt more content than she had in years. Here we are, years passed. 10 years Han Sol was 77 years old. Her body was slower, her hands shakier, but her spirit was strong. She still worked on the Eternal Mercy, though she had reduced hours now. The ship had become famous across the galaxy. A place where the hopeless came for healing, where the abandoned found family, where miracles happened daily. And at the center of it all was a dragon who had learned compassion from a human woman who refused to let him be alone. Taemin visited one autumn day with his children. 3 young Draxians, ages 5, 7, and 9. They ran through the ship with excitement, exploring everything. "Grandmother Han Sol," the youngest cried, running to hug her. Han Sol laughed and hugged her back. "Hello, little one. You have grown so much." Taemin watched them with a smile. His children knew Han Sol as their grandmother. They knew the story of how she saved their father. They knew that family was not about blood but about choice. "You look tired," Taemin said quietly to Han Sol when the children ran off to see Daewon. "I am old," Han Sol said simply. "It happens. You are only 77. Humans live much longer now. Maybe, but I am tired, Taemin. Happy. Content. But tired." Taemin felt his chest tighten. "You are not leaving, are you?" "Not yet. But someday, that is life. I am not ready. No one ever is. But you will be okay. You have your children, your empire, your purpose. And you have Daewon. You both will take care of each other." Taemin held her hand. "You gave me everything. I gave you love. You did the rest yourself. I am very proud of you, my boy." When Taemin left that day, Han Sol stood at the window watching his ship depart. Daewon came to stand beside her, his massive head lowered to her level. "You are thinking about the end," he said softly. "Yes. Are you angry?" "No, sad, but not angry. You have given me more life than I deserved. Whenever your time comes, I will be grateful, not angry. Will you be okay? After? I will miss you every day, but I will not be alone. You taught me how to make family, how to care, how to love. Those lessons will live forever." "Good," Han Sol said. "That is all I ever wanted." 12 years after Daewon awakened, Han Sol fell ill. Nothing dramatic. Just age catching up with her body. She was 89 years old. Taemin came immediately. So did Yuna, who was now the ship's director. So did Hai Sung. So did 100 other people whose lives Han Sol had touched. But she asked them all to leave. Except Taemin and Daewon. "I need you to promise me something," she said, her voice weak. "Anything," Taemin said. "Keep being kind. Keep helping others. Keep showing the galaxy that strength and compassion are not opposites. I promise." She looked at Daewon. "And you, keep singing. I taught you all my songs. Teach them to others. Let the music continue." "I will," Daewon promised. "Every day," she smiled. "Good. Then I can rest." Daewon did something he had only done once before.